welcome back to Movie Review Mom. And if this is the very first time you've discovered my YouTube channel, yay, you're here, you found me. I'm so glad. So my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that you can make the best decision for you and your family as to whether or not you want to watch a movie and spend time and or money doing it. So the movie I'm reviewing today is called Family Squares. This movie is rated R. It's an hour and 34 minutes. All right, let's dive in. In a nutshell, the Ďurts are a family portrait of dysfunction. When Grandma Mabel dies suddenly, they must set aside their differences and come together. Mayhem quickly ensues as long buried family secrets bubble to the surface with a shocking revelation. Actually, revelations plural. But as they begin to find their way back to each other, they soon realize that while you can't choose your family, you can choose to be friends with them and show love and support. The movie is about a family matriarch who wants to reunite her family before she passes. And of course, Zoom is featured because this family gathers through Zoom to get the latest scoop on what's going on. The film was written and directed by Stephanie Lang from Veep and Made for Love. So here's the list of things that I really liked about the movie. First of all, the extremely likable cast includes Judy Greer, Henry Winkler, Margot Martindale, June Squibb, Billy Magnuson, Casey Wilson, Sam Richardson, and more. The dialogue feels completely realistic, and the actors feel like real people instead of actors playing roles. And I really liked that aspect. Since we've all been living on Zoom during this pandemic, everyone will be able to relate to this film. It does a fantastic job of illustrating the comedic elements of Zoom life, such as when people forget to turn on their microphones or when their screen freezes. And it just made me laugh out loud. In fact, there are a ton of lines that actually made me laugh out loud. The use of squares during scene transitions and other moments during the movie are super creative, sweet, and even symbolic. At the end of the movie, a title card explains, quote, "The film is dedicated to everyone who has lost someone without being able to say goodbye in person," end quote, which of course was the case for many thousands of people. Anyway, I thought that that tribute was very sweet. There are also a few mysteries in the movie to be solved, and keep watching during the final rolling credits to see some behind the scenes takes. I always love that. Some fun behind the scenes take. I always love it when movies have bloopers too. We haven't seen a whole lot of movies with bloopers lately. So bring those back, directors. We get a kick out of them. Now, there were some things I didn't like, but not too many. I really got a kick out of this movie. First of all, every now and then, there's this strange narrator voice that inserts unnecessary explanations of what's happening. The good news is that it's the voice of Rob Reiner. However, he's not credited in the list of cast members. Maybe that was a surprise. Sorry, forget I said anything. But I did think it really wasn't necessary to have the narration to begin with. So tell me what you think. Comment down below if you watched the movie and you thought that that really added something. It would have been nice to see more love and support in the family. Now, there is some character development, but granted, the pandemic has been really hard on a lot of families, and that's what this movie illustrates. Some viewers might actually feel bored waiting for something to happen. I enjoyed the journey, actually, but I recognize that some people will be like, nothing happened. If you have a dysfunctional family like the one featured in this film, watching this comedy might actually make you feel better about your own family. Let me give you some tips for parents. There's a girl who flips a double bird. There's profanity and F-bombs, and really it's the F-bombs that make it a rated R movie. The grandmother who dies, oh, I've got another spoiler. Maybe I shouldn't reveal it. Okay, not going to reveal that. Maybe that'll come out later on. Just a heads up on what comes out. All right, some of the themes that are illustrated well are family dynamics and relationships, of course, family secrets, death and grieving, communication, parenting, regret, mending fences, unconditional love, life, technology, and supporting one another through each other's trials. So I always try to write down funny lines and interesting lines to give you kind of a taste of what the movie style is all about. And I include all of them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com, so you can check them all out there. But I'll share a couple of them with you right now. So one of the characters is a daughter, played by Casey Wilson, and her they're having a conversation about, parenting, and the mom asks, did I do everything right? And she says, you did everything right. You just weren't a good liar. And I thought that was kind of weird. And the family is very blunt with one another. There's a granddaughter who's sort of absorbing all of this, watching the dynamics. And while certain family members are completely falling apart over all of the decisions that need to be made about the funeral and whatnot, the granddaughter, played by Elsie Kate Fisher, says, death is kind of beautiful. And there are some conversations about that as well, and about life. And I just love the connections that various siblings, parents, grandchildren have with one another, and how realistic some of that is. All right, that's it for my movie review. But before we go, let me give you some recommendations for a couple of other pandemic-based films that you might want to check out and that might have flown under your radar. Now, I've reviewed both of them, so if you watch all of my videos, then you've heard about them. The first one is called Quarantine for Two. And so it's about a couple who meet during the quarantine online through Zoom, by talking on the phone and that kind of thing. And then another similar one to that is also called Just Swipe. It's also another couple and how they date during quarantine through Zoom, by phone, and that kind of thing. And so it's interesting to see the quarantine movies that have come out. I'm sure we're going to have a lot more because we're still technically in the pandemic. States are slowly starting to open up. Countries are slowly starting to open up, but it's still a thing. And so I'm sure when everything is said and done, if COVID ever finally goes away, there are experts who say that it won't ever fully go away, but we may see even more stories. Hopefully some of the stories of, people singing to each other on their balconies and, the really sweet moments of COVID. I would love to see some of that. All right. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me. I hope if you watch this movie that you do get a kick out of it. And before I forget, I wanted to let you know I've got a bunch of online courses. One of them is called Managing Depression, Anxiety, and Stress. And boy, did people really struggle with those things during the pandemic. You can find out more about that course on lifelonglearningeducation.com. The class was selling before the pandemic hit, but once the pandemic hit, wow, that class sold really, really well. And it's still for sale, as are a bunch of other classes. So check out lifelonglearningeducation.com. And it's also a YouTube channel. So check that one out too. Thank you so much for all of your support and have a fantastic day. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.